joining us.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to do this. This is great. So
Anytime.
So you are joining us from Cairo, is that right?
Yes, I'm in Cairo now. I actually wanted to show you guys exactly where I am. So this is basically the
Wow.
Nile
That's absolutely
from my
gorgeous. And
house.
you can see the city across from the river.
Yeah. So it's almost sunset now. So that's where we are right now.
And how's everything going with the self-quarantining and the COVID-19 restrictions in Egypt?
It's pretty strange. I mean, like it is everywhere else in the world. But
Sure.
yeah, we're not a total lockdown. We're just partial lockdown. So we have a curfew. Now it's at 9 p.m. It used to be at 7.
Got it.
It's also strange this month because a week ago we started Ramadan. So it's our holy month of fasting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's also very strange because usually it's a month of, family gatherings and we all eat together. And
Right.
now you can't really do that. So
All
it's
of
just
those
different
gatherings
this
usually,
year.
I'm guessing, take place after 9 p.m., right? Because that's you.
They
not eating
happen
after
at
sundown.
6:30.
Got it. Okay.
So usually, like now that there's a curfew at 9, you either have to eat somewhere and rush home or just stay locked down at home. So
Oh man.
it's just different.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone's coping. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, definitely. And whatever measures, help us stay safe
Yeah.
in the end. That's what's important. So
Definitely.
yeah. So I'm sure this probably impacted your work as well. Is that right?
Oh my God, totally. Like all my excavations I had this summer canceled. I had 3 National Geographic expeditions that were Nile cruises lined up in May. They were all canceled as well.
Oh no.
So yeah, but hopefully, I mean, things will pick up in the fall. I'm hoping. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully it'll get back to a good place pretty soon. All right, so I have a couple of questions for you. So our program here basically talks to women in fields like exploration or scientific research, and we want to get an idea of what it's like, a day in the life of an archaeologist. So yeah, let's see. Where are you originally from? So you're in Cairo right now, but did you grow up there or?
My parents are both Egyptian.
Okay.
Born and raised here. I was born in a tiny town in Illinois called Champaign.
Oh
so
wow.
It's close to Chicago.
Okay.
So I was raised as a Bulls fan growing up. But yeah, I grew up in Champaign. I think for 7 years.
Okay.
That was my childhood, and then I moved here to Cairo in elementary school. So I was super young, and then I grew up here my entire life.
Oh, wow. Okay. So then, yeah, that Egyptian archaeology, the history is all around you all the time. Is that what got you interested in it?
Definitely. I remember when I actually decided I wanted to do this, I was 9 years old, and I was in 3rd grade, and we had an Egypt culture class, and they showed us a video, this reenactment of Howard Carter discovering King Tut's tomb.
Wow.
And it was the first time I ever saw, like, a video of an archaeologist or anything. I hadn't seen it in movies, really, besides, like, Indiana Jones.
Sure.
But this one was, like, so
it's real life. Yeah, it's not a movie.
Yeah, and I was so, like, mesmerized by it when he first, like, got a glimpse of what's inside the tomb, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I want that feeling.
Sure.
And ever since then, it stuck with me for some reason. I was always into mystery. And, even stuff with, like, outer space and aliens, it was always, like,
definitely.
a hobby of mine. But, yeah, archaeology always stuck with me, and I was finally able to study it in university, so that's why I actually excelled for once in my life later on, because I got to study what I really wanted to, and, yeah, I was always just a big history buff.
That's awesome. So is that the subject that you ended up pursuing in university, was archaeology in specific?
Yes. Yeah,
Got it.
Egyptian archaeology. I was always focused on Egypt, but I kept it broad in undergrad, and then master's, I really focused on Egypt and specifically the late period in Egypt.
Wow, that's incredible. So the late period, when you say specifically, what time period is that?
So this is the end of the Egyptian Empire.
Got it.
So around 600 BC. This is what I was focusing on I am right now in my PhD research.
Got it.
The demise of the Pharaonic Empire, what was there was also a power struggle between Egyptians in their own country. So there was a lot going on besides invaders from abroad. So it's a very complex time and
an exciting time, sure.
Very exciting and not very well understood because we don't have that much material from this period, unfortunately.
But
it keeps it also very exciting because the more excavations we do, the more we find out, and it's kind of putting puzzle pieces together.
That's incredible. No matter how much we study history, it seems like there's always something new to discover. It's,
totally.
Yeah, like a never-ending thing. That's really cool.
It's always changing. Like, people always think we discovered everything in Egypt, for example, and it's not true. We barely scratched the surface. Yeah, we're discovering a lot every day, but, you know, for an entire empire that lasted thousands of years, there's so much to learn.
Of course,
so so many pieces to put together that we're still trying to understand, like, how complex of an empire it was. So it's super interesting, and it's always evolving, which keeps it exciting.
So for a young lady who might be considering pursuing archaeology, you're confidently able to say there's still so much excitement, I guess, left in the field.
Oh my God, 1,000%.
Yeah, that's really cool. Oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So for you, what is a typical day like?
Okay, so there's different, like, lives, I feel like.
Okay, so maybe there's no typical day.
Yeah, a typical day, like, in the field, for our field seasons, it's definitely we're very sleep deprived, pretty much, in the field.
Okay.
We wake up super early because you have to catch, like, as soon as the sun comes up, that's when you start digging.
Oh, wow.
By the time, and when it's afternoon, it's way too hot for us to work in, and the workers, we have a lot of manpower on our team.
Gotcha.
So it's just the weather conditions don't allow for it. But so we wake up sunrise, we're out on the field with all the equipment, we're digging all day, and in Egypt here we have a lot of workmen that we use from the villages surrounding the sites that we work at.
Gotcha.
So kind of, helping out also the economy in the area, and you're bonding also with the people who actually live there all year round. So
that's really special. They're kind of part of, discovering their own history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like we help each other out. They help protect the site for us, and we're also educating them on, the value and heritage of the site that they're actually from.
Right.
Super cool. And most of them don't know, like, that they're from, like, an ancient city, an ancient capital city. These things are super cool for them to, realize.
That's incredible. Wow.
And, so anyways, we're digging all day around till maybe 2 p.m. if we can with the sun. And then everything we discover, we take back to the magazine and to the labs, basically at our dig house. And that's where we start working even more. People think we're just digging in the field. All the hard work actually happens in the lab.
Once you get back, yeah.
Yeah, there's so much data collection. We have to document so many things. We have site artists who have to draw everything.
Oh, wow.
Weighing. It's very meticulous because at the end of the day, as archaeologists, we're also destroying history because we're digging into the ground, literally.
Sure, right.
So if we don't document everything and publish these things, we're not any better than the looters.
Right, right.
It's the most important part of the job, to do this. And after that, at the end of the season, everyone always asks, where do the artifacts actually go? At the end of the season, we have inspectors from the government. They take the artifacts and then disperse them to museums if it's relevant.
Got it.
Storage magazines, because there's too many artifacts in this country to put on display.
Sure.
So that's like the day in the life in the field. It's very, it's just work, like nonstop.
Yeah.
But it's also exciting for us because we're in our element as archaeologists.
Right.
Very demanding physically and emotionally. And then my other life, like normally now, I also am a PhD student, so at the same time it's a lot of research, and it's a lot of still more data collection based on the excavations. So the rest of the year we're actually processing what we found, including it into our research if we can, and it's just a lot of reading, a lot of attempting to publish. These things are very time consuming, and at the same time I do some I give some lectures with National Geographic and run some of these expeditions, so it ends up taking up your calendar for somehow.
Sure, but yeah, that's an interesting mix of the type of work that you do. I feel like,
not a basic desk job, that's for sure.
Gotcha. And I think a lot of people go into it for that reason too. It's because it's not a job like that.
Yeah.
You do get to actually go out in the field. And yeah, if you follow into it, it's not going to be, just research all the time, or maybe your research informs, where you get to go in the field. That's really interesting.
Definitely for people who like to be hands-on.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm going to just switch over a little bit. The sun's like right in my face. Okay, so let's see. This is a little bit of a better angle here. Yeah, I think that works. All right, I'll have to chop that out of the video. Okay. All right, so you said you're currently a PhD student, right?
Yeah.
Is there a project coming up that you're excited about? Something that you're looking forward to maybe in the fall?
These National Geographic expeditions I'm super excited for. So they're basically expeditions and land excursions that National Geographic runs, and they haven't run any since the revolution in Egypt.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been a long time since we've been able to redo this in Egypt. And now, as tourism had boomed before Corona, so everything was a lot better here. But so I have these expeditions lined up for this year and 2021.
Got it.
There are Nile cruise expeditions, so people coming from all over the world.
Wow.
To go on, to go around Egypt.
Got it.
Through National Geographic's lens, basically.
That's awesome.
So I'm really excited for that. And I like that there's a bit of both, like people who want to do the Nile cruise route, so you're on the boat the whole time.
Right.
Stopping, docking off on all the ancient sites, which is incredible.
That's incredible,
also the
yeah.
excursion route, which is, you go by 4x4s and more in the desert.
Wow.
That one, in my opinion. But it's super cool. It's a different way to look at things in Egypt with, people like to go through National Geographic.
From that sort of expert's perspective, right?
Exactly. And it's also having, real archaeologists or real site photographers who have been working here in the field forever, and they're the ones actually telling you stories that you wouldn't learn, from a tour guide book or just
I was going to say, it doesn't
here.
sound like that typical kind of like touristy experience. You actually get a really deep look at the history and things like that.
And you get it from people who are really living here or really Egyptian, so I would like to have that if I went to another country.
Sure,
so
yeah.
I'm really excited for those to start running again, hopefully.
That's really awesome. Yeah, that looks like something amazing. I'd love to do that one of these days.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question for you. What can we learn from history, or why is it important to study this? We always hear, younger students in school, and they're like, why do I need to learn this? This happened in the past. Why is it important to study now?
I get asked this a lot, for sure. Especially when I'm digging. I have a lot of...
like, what's the point of this? Yeah.
Children in the villages come and see us, and from their perspective, we're just like holding garbage. Like, that's what we're digging up, and why are we playing with these rocks and dirt? It doesn't mean anything. But actually, it tells us a lot. So, for example, we find a lot of pottery sherds. It's broken pottery everywhere on sites in Egypt. So, actually, from these sherds, they just look like a trash dump. But these sherds are the things that actually help us date these sites.
Wow.
To tell you what time period we're actually digging in. And this is because each dynasty in Egypt has a specific style to the way they design their pottery or the material that they use for their pottery. And this was like, their pottery is basically our plastic.
Got it.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Their plates, cups, everything to hold like their grains and drinks. It was everywhere.
So the type of artwork can actually tell you like which time period it comes from.
Yeah.
That's incredible, and the material.
They were actually using it, but also there are design, purposes as well. So
right.
It's multi-use. And it could really tell us they're actual like experts that are able to date the whole site based on these just pieces of pottery. If you don't get lucky enough to, come across an inscription or, a scroll of papyrus that everyone would love to find.
Right.
So it helps us a lot. Just as something that looks so irrelevant, actually, like
can tell you so much.
It's such a key player, in the site. And besides that, I always say this to people that I strongly, really, genuinely believe that people who know and understand their past can actually of years ago in ancient, or even just a couple hundred years ago, we're always like, history always repeats itself.
Right.
So we're human at the end of the day, They weren't
Right.
aliens back then. They were
Sure.
humans just living thousands of years ago. So you're able to understand how they lived in society and how they coped, and it tells us a lot about how we're living today.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And yes, it's an important part of what you do is discovering that too.
Yeah.
So, in particular, as a woman, I think I heard in one of your talks you were saying that you had trouble once at a dig site, possibly establishing credibility. People
Yeah.
weren't believing that maybe you had the permits to actually dig on that site. Are there challenges similarly like that you faced?
Definitely. I think credibility is always an issue. I mean, before National Geographic came into the mix in my life, it was very hard to be taken seriously because of my age
Sure.
and because of being a female. So both
Yeah.
played a role. Even until now, I feel like you're also judged based on your looks, and if you don't have the look that they want as, like, an academic or whatever they think an archaeologist or
Sure.
a female archaeologist will look like, they just won't respect you, especially in bureaucratic societies and governments. Egypt
Got
is
it.
one of them, a huge one. So it was always an issue for me, even after National Geographic backed me up and I received a peer-reviewed grant to excavate. I still got backlash from government entities, and people even asked me, how do we know if National Geographic is legitimate enough? You get
Why? Yeah. It
bizarre
makes no sense,
questions.
right?
If people just want to take away the credibility, they're going to try anything to do that. But
Right.
what I learned from that, actually, it really bumped me out when I was younger, and now it still gets to me, but on a smaller scale. Like, now I just figured out that you just need to be super persistent and resilient in these situations. And if they're going to try to block you off and you get roadblocks and whatever you're trying to achieve, find a different angle. There's always a different angle to figure it out. Like, I learned that really, like, over the years. And it took a lot of time. It's very time consuming. I could have been doing something, in 1 year, then it took me 3 years because they were trying to stop me. But whatever it is, you're always going to have in any career, in any path, you're going to have issues and people trying to stop you from doing what you're doing, especially if you're passionate about it and it's for a good cause.
Right.
You find people who just want it, for business purposes or monetary purposes, whatever.
Yeah,
So
those challenges will come.
The important thing is just always find a different angle, and if you have your end goal,
right,
focus on that
and keep persisting,
no matter what.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Do you see the proportion of women in your field changing since you've been in it?
There are tons of females in archaeology. I
Yeah.
think there are more females than males.
Okay, got it.
Definitely. All age groups. But I think definitely
Gotcha.
more females.
Huh, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a couple of questions. These are actually from our followers. So we had one of our commenters ask, what is the scariest thing that happened to you on an excavation?
Oh my God. This actually just happened to me recently.
Okay.
So I also dig in Sudan.
Oh, okay.
So, it's our neighboring country, and it's an ancient Egyptian site.
Okay.
Once upon a time used to rule there. So this was a New Kingdom cemetery that I work at called Tumbus in Sudan, and I was just there in February. And sometimes you get like horrible weather conditions out of the blue.
Okay.
So we were me and my team were in a tomb, and we were in the burial shaft, still digging deeper and deeper. So it goes down maybe like 3-4 meters.
Okay.
4 meters down. Pure sand, you have nothing else. You're just going straight down. They're very tight and get narrower the further down you go. So it was me, and I had 2 team members with me, and then they happened to just get out of the burial shaft. You have to take a huge ladder to get them out. You can't just step out.
Gotcha.
So they got out, and I was still like hacking away through, trying to find like the edges of the shaft. Out of nowhere, I just heard like crackling happen, and some sand started pouring. And the second sand starts pouring in that way, something
Oh no.
Like a warning sign. So I was sitting cross-legged, and thank God, like my natural instinct was get up right now. So I stood up that second, and I swear to God, a second later, the whole wall, the whole northern wall collapsed on me.
Oh my God.
I was the only one there.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but thank God I got up.
Yeah, at the last second. That's incredible.
I don't know what would have happened to my knees, but
sure.
But I got up, and my workers helped me out. Thank God, like I wasn't injured or anything. But this is the second time that actually happened to me.
Wow.
And it was sometimes these sandstorms, these really strong windstorms hit, and they really like make it very difficult for us to dig, especially when it's sands, because it's so fragile.
Right.
It could just bear you down in those shafts, so it's really dangerous sometimes.
Sure.
But it's just important to take care and pay attention to when the sand trickles down. Something's gonna happen.
That's terrifying, but yeah, very happy that you're okay.
Yeah.
Hazards of the job.
Definitely.
All right, so another question we had was, what was the life of an average Egyptian woman, an ancient Egyptian woman? What was her day like, whether she was rich or poor? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there are different lives. I mean, I focused in my research on the daily lives of normal people, like people like me and you.
Got it.
From the elites and the royals.
Okay.
It's so overdone, in my opinion. And I always found it more exciting, like, what are normal people doing? What were they worshipping? What were they eating? What were they doing? So, what we find actually in a lot of the domestic structures is a lot of amulets and things that you can see what they were actually worshipping in their homes.
Okay.
And you have a lot of domestic animals that were buried in their homes. Like we find a lot of cats that are buried. So it tells you a little. It's like a sneak peek into their lives.
Yeah.
You could imagine that they were doing normal domestic things that they would do in their homes, but also the normal things we do here, like even now in Egypt, like the agricultural farming and gathering up the grains and farming. This is the same process is still living up till modern.
Even then, yeah.
Super cool. Yeah. And then besides that, there are like ritualistic processional routes that they would take to the temples, the nearby temples, and do those rituals just to worship the gods of whatever period it was and whatever city they were in, whichever prominent god it was.
Got it.
Those amulets would be related to those temples that are nearby. So it kind of all connects the dots in certain areas in Egypt.
So a huge part of their life was that, right? Like the rituals and the worship. Mm-hmm.
Like huge. The fact that they even like went to the lengths of painting it in their tombs and taking it with them in the afterlife and telling us these stories. It's all just, another way of storytelling and telling us what was important in their lives at the time.
Sure. That's incredible. Yeah. And it's cool to see somebody focusing on, the aspects of the everyday life as well, because we do hear a lot in history books about how the royal family's lives were. So thank you for sharing that.
The country is living in a different way.
Right. It's just a very small percentage of the people who we know a lot about. Sure. All right. So another question that we got was, what do you wear when you're out in the field?
I always get this as well. I always joke that, like, in my head, I feel like I look like Lara Croft, but I actually really don't at all. We're quite messy and, like, dirty in the field. But I think what I definitely always have to have is cargo pants.
Okay.
Only because you always have to have so many pockets.
Sure.
You have tiny tools and things, we're always, like, losing them.
Right.
It's better to have it on you instead of going in and out, and it's just waste time.
Yeah, good way to store all of them.
Yeah. If I'm going like deep down in shafts and things like that, I usually wear like workout pants and workout clothes to be more flexible.
Gotcha.
You have to sit in really awkward positions for long hours, so it's better to be comfortable or you're gonna cramp for sure.
Sure.
And but thicker is better. I know people who've even gotten like sunburns through their pants on their knees
wow.
and stuff like that. Like, you should always be covered and take care from the sun. Like, the sun will get you no matter what. So I always get my scalp burnt all the time.
Wow.
Like, if you don't cover your head, it's like a major thing. Or like a watch tan. Very awkward.
Sure.
But, definitely workout clothes and cargo pants and really like sturdy boots.
Got it.
If I'm in a hard terrain. And a lot of these sites are also modern villages, so you find things that are just like hazardous on the, just trash that's dumped, and you don't want to step on like glass or needles and things like
Right.
that. That could really injure you, so it's important to take care as well.
So very practical. There's no special archaeology outfit or Indiana Jones style. Got it.
I definitely don't.
Gotcha.
People do. This is the thing.
Oh, do they really? Have you seen people in the field? Yeah.
A lot of people like to milk it, but not my thing.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. That is actually the end of our questions, but I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. I think this will make a really...
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. It's a first interview, so yes, we're honored that you were able to join us.
The questions were super exciting, actually. Like,
oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Ask, like, a lot of the normal things. So these are interesting, and people actually like want to know these things. What do people
definitely.
do in their real day-to-day lives?
Sure.
Everything has to be like so academic and research-based.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the angle that we wanted to come at this with as well, because, not everybody's going to be an expert in all of these fields that they just kind of want to know the general things.
And before I became an archaeologist, I was always wondering, like, what do they actually do in the field? Like, what it's like, because it wasn't documented. Like,
sure.
So after you study for all these years, you're thrown into the desert and you have to love it or hate it. So it's very, like, you get a heads up before as well.
Yeah, before you make that huge commitment, yeah.
Yeah, some people aren't built for it, and they need it, and they switch careers, so, like, why waste all your time?
Well, hopefully this will give some insight into anybody thinking about it as a career. So, yeah, thank you so much. Definitely. I really appreciate you taking the time. All right, well, have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your night in Cairo. All right, take care. Bye.